Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, death slicers, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm useful idiot. Welcome. So we have this supposed ceasefire agreement between Israel and Gaza right now, and as I pointed out in my previous video on that, right now it's a historic achievement, but I think it's going to unravel pretty quick, and we're already having Israeli bombings are continuing, albeit on a smaller scale. And we also have the fact that since the 28 dead bodies weren't returned by Palestinians, only 8 so far, and one of them wasn't even a hostage. Israel's already accusing Gaza of breaking the ceasefire, and so this thing could unravel very quickly. And as I pointed out in my other video, Israel's going to use every excuse, and if it appears that Gaza and the Palestinians are having any issues with the peace agreement, Israel's going to go back to business, and that's ultimately what they want to do. And they'll go back at it with a vengeance because they'll have a complete justification, at least as far as in their mind. And we also find out that Hamas, contrary to the agreement, apparently is not entirely ready to disarm, and that's going to be a real problem. As I point out in the other video, phase 1 is the easy part. Let's hear about phase 2 and phase 3. We're going to have a hard time. There's 20 points in Trump's peace plan, and we've barely gotten through one or two issues, and we still got a lot more to go, and it's going to be very complicated. And my prediction, of course, is it's going to unravel, and there's not going to be any peace. But the point of this video is to talk about Gaza, and even if there is a peace agreement, really what is left of Gaza, what is left of Palestine. They've been completely decimated. There's been a total genocide there. The official number of dead is 70,000. Reputable sources have claimed that it's up to 500,000 killed and or missing. But the real point is, once we start moving into this next phase, there really isn't anything left, as the Palestinians are finding out that are going back to their major cities that are completely destroyed. 83% of all buildings are destroyed or damaged. 92% of homes are destroyed, and desalination plants are destroyed. Agriculture has been destroyed. Hospitals have been destroyed. Universities have been destroyed. There really is nothing there. Israel dropped 200,000 tons of explosives in Gaza in 2 years, equivalent to nearly 13 Hiroshima bombs. And I brought that up before. The amount of ordnance dropped on an area 2 miles long is extraordinary. No wonder we see the levels of destruction that we see. And when we look at the number of killed, 47% are men, 30% are children, 16% are women, 7% elderly. So very striking that so many children were destroyed, and I think that's on purpose, thinking of the Zionist regime. They want to decimate the up-and-coming infant potential terrorists. But there's also 5,000 permanent disabilities. I would say that is probably much higher. 90% of the population has been completely displaced, and they've been shuffled around Gaza back and forth, promised these safe zones, and then are attacked anyway. The refugee camps have been attacked. The medical helpers have been attacked. Journalists have been attacked. Food supplies have been attacked. And there's estimates that it would cost $153 billion to repair Gaza, and I've seen figures as high as $800 billion, and I've also heard figures that it would take 50 years to just remove all the rubble that's in Gaza. But of course, once all the corporate interests come in, they'll have a much faster timetable because there'll be a lot of money to be had redeveloping Gaza. And then we also have a number of Israeli settlers that are also gearing up to move into Gaza and start taking over the land in Gaza as well, in the same way they've done in the West Bank. But one of the glaring problems I see with this new peace plan is, once again, the Palestinians in Gaza are complete losers, because we have 58% of what is now Gaza that will be under Israeli control. It will be what they call a buffer zone. And that's a huge amount of territory. That means all the Palestinians that are there now, 2 million or 1.7 million, are all going to be squeezed into 40% of the land that they previously lived on. So that's going to be a huge issue. But Israel also calls this the yellow zone. And they've already pointed out the fact that any Palestinians that enter the 58% of Gaza that's going to be occupied, the so-called yellow zone, will be executed summarily. And so any Palestinians that cross into this whole buffer zone stretching the whole length of Gaza and then encompassing both ends, and all these Palestinians compressed into this small area, they will be targets. So that, I guess, is my main point. What a sad compromise that the Palestinians have had to make in order to make the ceasefire happen. And another thing that's going to keep it from holding, if all the Palestinians that are left are going to live in a moonscape and then be compressed into 40% of the land they used to live in, it's going to be hell on earth. And they've been living through hell on earth for a couple of years now, and arguably for decades. And it just keeps getting worse for them. And also, I think if you compress all the Palestinians into 40% of where they used to live, it was already one of the most densely populated places on Earth, and now it will be inhumane and inhuman, the amount of density that'll be compressed into 40% of the land they used to live in. But for Israel, of course, that's going to be a huge advantage because everybody's going to be living in an even smaller area, and much more efficient to kill them off, and certainly to compress them into a smaller area and have 60% of the country under Israeli control. It's going to be a lot easier for them to go into Gaza and disarm Hamas, kill anybody they think is Hamas, destroy all the tunnels, and then essentially at the end, of course, take it all over. They'll find some justification in the end to take over all the land. And I still think it's on their agenda to expel as many of the Palestinians as they can from Gaza. So, yeah, some peace agreement. I'm useful idiot. Don't you be one too?